Hey, it's Aaron, the Metal Theologian. So, so first of all, I haven't really done much talking about sodas in a long time, you know what I mean? All my sources kind of dried up locally and I couldn't get new ones, and, I didn't really care. That was it ran its course for me as all. But Cheerwine, man, this is still really special. They should fucking pay me for saying this shit, too, but, if you live in the South, man, this is, awesome. I guess if you're local, Sundrop is almost as big, but for my money, it's the Cheerwine, man. And you really can't find it outside the South because, something like the company just, still, owns it. It's not, they don't have the distribution deals, so if their own guys can't drive it there, you're not getting any, basically, so. Yeah, it's really special. I really don't drink a shit ton of sugar soda anyway during the week and that, but Cheerwine really hits the spot once in a while. All right, so we're listening to Excalibur. Which Excalibur, you might ask? Because it's not like there's only ever one band. It's like Warrior, It's like there are 10 bands called that, and that's just the metal bands, right? Yeah, but this one, something I kind of forgotten about this one, but there's a reissue of this one coming soon, so I figure it's a little public service announcement too. This isn't the biggest mega rarity, but it's not the easiest thing to find. And I was fortunate to come across one, but it's an EP by a British band apparently. It's 85, so if I were unscrupulous in trying to sell it to you, I might call it Nwabum, but I wouldn't actually do that to you in real life. These guys right there are pretty awesome, aren't they? Just driving the fantasy thing home, the sword isn't enough, it's just in case you're not sure what else they're about. Yeah, it's a pretty cool record though, man. I mean, there's just something charming about this thing. It's not the heaviest thing ever. There's only the second song when it kind of gets a little bit softer. Some of these songs, pick up then too, but that's just a cool record though, man. I like the songs, yeah, what else have we been looking at? Yeah, I played this a couple more times, too. And I don't know, man. Something? This is Fortress, this band. I don't remember why I pulled this out. I feel like it had something to do with the D&D shit I was doing with Chromie D, but I think it was just... Actually, it was just next to something. Anyway, I pulled this out to give it another chance, because I've never loved this record, I mean, it doesn't live up to that cover, I mean... it kind of sounds more like, you think they're going to be like a second-rate Manowar, and they're kind of more like a second-rate, I don't know, I almost said Dokken, but that's too harsh. They're not that wimpy. They're, they kind of have a party vibe to them, though, you know what I'm saying? It's they're sort of like the Forgotten Child record, if you know that one. That one has the dragon on the cover and shit, too, but, it kind of has more sort of a Van Halen-y vibe, and that's kind of how this is too. And if you listen to this, you're probably going to go, this isn't a fucking thing like Van Halen, what are you talking about? And it doesn't. It just kind of has some of that party vibe to it. It's kind of saved a little bit by the fact the production's kind of shitty on this. That kind of makes it sound a little more, raw, because it is a little more raw, I guess. But, yeah, it's not incredible. Maybe one of these days I'll come around on it. But, yeah, I can't really say I love that record. Yeah, I kind of been listening to some Russian shit for a reason I'm going to get to in just a moment. So that was next to something. It was near this one, actually, which I pulled out. This isn't the greatest Russian record ever, but it's kind of a cool piece anyway. And it's a cool record, too. So this is Front. Like that logo is hard to read, right? And what's it called? Mortal Surgery. I almost said Mental Surgery, but I feel like that was a different band. Mortal Surgery. So it's kind of amazing. I mean, this cover art is kind of nuts. You know what it really kind of looks like? It looks like one of those mid-70s Funkadelic records. After starting with Cosmic Slop, that's what shit like this robot guy looks like. You know what I mean? It's maybe, from this distance, maybe not so much, but if you look closer, that guy, totally off of fucking Standing on the Verge of Getting It On or something like that. These fucking guys. Anyway, this is really kind of a death thrash record. I'm not quite sure which side this sort of falls into, because it feels a little bit more thrashy, but it kind of feels like it was thrashy because they couldn't quite nail the death metal sound, because definitely with the vocals and shit. Most of the Russian bands, they sing with kind of like more sort of rawness, like a heavy smoker kind of singer than like an sort of clean vocals, right? But this is really kind of on the deathy side. But I don't know, man. Maybe it just isn't tuned low enough or something. But it doesn't quite go to that level. And in a way, that's what makes it cool. Like that makes this record kind of special. So I feel like I should put it on for a minute. But well, let's see if we have time, because I'll come back to it. Because here's what I'm actually going to put on next. Because I got my hands on one that is really it doesn't turn up very often, and I wasn't super confident I was ever going to track one down for a price I was willing to pay. So okay, this is a brand new arrival. It just showed up this week, but this is a Novoye Vremya, and it's funny. I was in the Grown Man Record Night chat last Friday, and this hadn't arrived yet, and I said to someone, I told it was Novoye Soviet, which is actually just incorrect. But there's another band called Novoye Soviet, which is New Testament, I guess, but it's a different band. So it's funny that like I fucked it up, but with a different like band that's basically nothing. So anyway, here's the deal with this one, man. According to Discogs, now this is a USSR thing, okay? This is on Melodia. It looks like it was recorded in St. Petersburg and shit. But according to Discogs, the band is from Kyrgyzstan, which is kind of awesome. I mean, how could you not want to hear the fucking band from Kyrgyzstan? I mean, they don't really look any sort of worse off than any other band, I suppose, from the Eastern Bloc. But goddamn, dude, Central Asia. So anyway, I really tried to figure this out. Now, the back, I just showed it off. It's all in Cyrillic, right? And I can't read Russian. But I can kind of sound it out. So, like, when the words are the same, and I know a few words, you know what I mean? Like, actually, this might be a Jesus metal band, because the first song on side 2, I'll put it on side 2 so we can hear it, but it's called Christos iz Nazareta, which I assume means Christ of Nazareth. So we're going to listen to that one. But it doesn't actually say, like, Kyrgyzstan or Bishkek for an address or anything like that. It just, it has, actually it says Leningrad on it, like 5 times. Like, I think it was, like, produced in Leningrad and recorded in Leningrad. And I think it even says Leningrad in one place and Petersburg in another place, which I thought was weird, but, I wasn't there, so. Yeah, like, yeah. So there's the back. That's really all the information that I have on them. So, given that anyone can just go in and put their shit in, I've got to reserve a little bit of skepticism. I tried Googling them. Apparently there's like a Ukrainian paper called Novoye Vremya. I think it means New World. Yeah. On that, actually, you can see that Grupa. Just means group. They do it on the Mexican records too for some reason. Anyway, so we're checking this one out together. I've played this a few times. Listen to that singer. I gotta love that shit, man. This is why you come to my channel, though, for shit like this. I mean, let's be honest, right? I suppose Merciful Metal might show something like this off too, but It's so good. He makes me think of an owl for some reason. I'm thinking of like, I'm not sure which owl though. It's either like X the Owl from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, in the neighborhood of Make Believe, or it might be Woodsy Owl, but I think it's X the Owl. X the Owl is kind of closer to my heart anyway, because I really love Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers thought mustaches were particularly funny too. No, I'm just kidding. I made that up. But Mr. Rogers is pretty awesome. Anyway, let's see what else I have. So speaking of Mexican shit, actually, here's another one that just turned up not long. But I've been buying a ton of shit, so a lot of the stuff's just in the collection. But this is another one I just grabbed recently. Another one that I kind of lucked into. Like two I'd been keeping an eye out for, both turned up at the same time. I was like, well, I guess that's what credit cards are for. So, yeah, this is Fungus, and this is Sobredosis de Metal. And it's funny because they have this like almost like punk rock hairstyles, but not quite. Like I think it just grows that way to this fucking guy, you know? So yeah, so this is another just really kind of charming metal record. You know, it's not the greatest thing ever. You know, the songwriting isn't the hottest and shit, but it's honest. You know, it's fun. You know, they're doing what they can with what they've got, and I really like what they're doing. You know what I mean? So they get a lot of points for that from me. Yeah. So anyway, that's Fungus. I guess they have a couple records out too. Supposedly the first one was a lot more like kind of hard rock, and this one's really a metal one. Alright, you know, I played this one a couple times since the last time. I actually pulled this out in my last video, but it stayed out and I played it. This is a great record, man. Street Child. It's like, really kind of sort of a bit of a southern rock vibe, mostly because of the singer, but just 4 songs and they're just all great, man. And I feel like this is probably the exact same review as I gave it last time. So, it's a New York band. Actually, there's a drum machine on here, which is a little bit obvious, but TC is drums and drinking, which I think is kind of funny. But don't be put off by that, though. It's really good. It's a little bit late, too. It's like 88 or 89. But yeah, it's really good songwriting. Kind of an unusual sound. Like, I keep wanting to call it epic, but it doesn't really... It's not really epic in that same sort of way, but it feels kind of grandiose and big regardless, you know what I'm saying? Without doing, like, the epic moves like a Manowar or someone like that. It just feels kind of big, and not like in a pomp kind of way either, you know? It's just, it's in the writing somehow. It's really good for that. That one I've had for a long time. That is definitely not a new arrival. This one's for Chromie D. Played this a few more times. I probably played this more than any of my other Talon records at this point. It's really enjoyable. It's not the greatest thing ever, man, but there's nothing wrong with Talon. It's a fucking fun band. You know who really is pretty great, though? It's an easy band to overlook. Is fucking Rapid Tears, man. This shit just rocks. It's fucking really good. And it has that, like, corny mermaid on the cover. Like, I think they just did this LP, and then there's an EP that I have, too. And I think there's a 45, and I don't have the 45. But it's like, you don't think it'd be that heavy, you know? But these guys really rock, man. I'm just taking those mustaches, too. I mean, you know I'm going to say it, right? I'm, like, sitting here, like, postponing it, but, yeah, I mean, the short guy's the best, too. I think these guys are Canadian, actually. Yeah, it's on Chameleon. Wasn't, April Wine or something, they have a record on Chameleon? I'm probably thinking of someone else. This is early, too. This is 82. You know, and for a record as rockin' as this, I mean, it's not like Accept, you know what I mean? But if you look at like the average in 82, how heavy a band was, these are heavier than what Def Leppard was doing, that's for sure. So, you know, it's pretty rockin'. So yeah, Rapid Tears is a good fucking band, man. Let's see what else. I went a little bit of a ZZ Top kick, but you know, everybody fucking was on a ZZ Top kick right after the guy died. So, but you know, I rediscovered a couple that I kind of hadn't been interested in a while, like Diguelo. I wasn't even sure if I had this, but this one, I don't know. I just kind of lost sight of it. Like, when I was doing the Eliminator shit, when I was in the 80s, it was too bluesy for me. And then, like, when I got into, like, the earlier ZZ Top, this just kind of fell through the cracks for me, you know? Maybe because it feels more commercial than, you know, like the first 3 or 4 or whatever, you know? But this record's fucking great, man. Every song on here is good, just about. It's funny, when I first got this, I was so young. I had never heard the original of I Thank You before. The Sam and Dave one. Like, when I learned that was a cover, I was like, wow. I was like, you know, 13 or 14 or something like that. And you know, this is a record I would have shit on not too long ago. Because, like, the last couple times I played this, I felt like all I heard was the synthesizer, man. You know, it was like hearing it didn't like... Because this was a really important record to me when I was a kid. When I was, yeah, I mean, when this came out, I was like 11. almost 11. This is like the second tape I ever bought though. And yeah, I played the shit out of it. And all the songs are great. So when I put it on, I was like, yeah, you know something, it just doesn't like hold up to that memory of it that I have, the way it sort of like paved the way for metal for me, really. But when I listened to it like a couple weeks ago, even the song Legs, which I didn't really think much of back in the day, I thought was pretty good, you know? So it's like, yeah, it definitely sounds like it was recorded in 83, but you know something? It's a fucking really good record anyway, so my days of shitting on this record are over. I fucking love Eliminator, and I'm just gonna own that. Even though it's not hip. I still think El Loco's a piece of crap, though. Maybe someday I'll get my head around it, but probably not, because I actually don't own it. So... although here, this one I like more and more with every listen. Teos. But you know something? We're going to leave this on the commercial one, because usually I'm showing all the obscure shit, right? I mean, I fucking showed like 4 Soviet bands or something like that. I mean, you know. So, I don't know. What, maybe this just shows that I'm human or something? You know, I live in the same music universe. You know who else I've been really fucking into lately is the Stranglers. I actually just got this one. It doesn't even have the gatefold. It was there, and I was like, oh, you know something. When I was like into punk and into the Stranglers, I wouldn't have liked this record. You know, I was right to stay away from it back then, because I heard it was more new wave. But you know something? It just hit the spot for me, man. I've played this a few times. I just enjoy it, man. You know, it definitely is kind of like early 80s new wave sounding. You know what I mean? Especially for my tastes, I'm usually really put off by that sort of thing, but like the synth sound is just primitive enough that it's still like cool, you know what I mean? It's like, it's definitely an 80s sound, but it was 80s sound before it got stale, you know what I mean? And by like 82, 83, I think the shit was played out. It hung on for like several more years, and God, I hated it, man. I don't get people romanticizing the 80s, you know? By the way, people are gonna ask, this is sort of a new vape. It's tiding me over because like the battery on my other one died. I have to wait for more to come in, so I don't like talking about that. Not that it bothers me or anything, but like people always ask, but this isn't a fucking vape channel, so yes, it is a different one. Anyway, yeah, this whole like Men in Black thing just kind of does it for me too. I don't know. It's funny because this thing doesn't have like the overt comedy that like, or sort of, you know, sort of the sneering comedy, I suppose, but like sort of the overt funniness that I hear like on this record. You know, there's nothing like Peaches on that record, you know? This is kind of more like comic, but that other one just like appeals to my sense of humor too. Yeah, I think I showed The Raven not too long ago. That was one that, that was another one that I stayed away from back when, but I got it a couple months ago, found it locally, and I loved it. So yeah, I checked out the Men in Black, and you know something, I don't regret it. Yeah, I'm going to show another obscure metal one. Actually, let me show this one first. This is a great record, too. But a little shout out to Eric Bauer, because he mentioned that this was his favorite Electric Wizard when I was just really getting into him about maybe a year ago, if that. I ended up getting like a whole bunch of their records, so I didn't have any specific bearing, but I did have higher expectations for this one when I put it on because of Eric's recommendation. And that might be my favorite too. It's a fucking great record, man. It really is. So, yeah, but dipping into that well a little bit too, you know. But this one I'm kind of just showing because I'm not going to show it very often because it kind of sucks. I feel like I'm showing a lot of records that suck. Like almost all the records I've shown have sucked for one reason or another, but I really love most of them. This one is really just kind of a bummer, you know. Like I could see this sort of appealing to like Chromie D. Actually, you know what's probably going to happen with this record? Chromie D is going to get a copy. He's going to love it, and I'm going to start pulling it out every couple of weeks and going, God, what am I missing in that record? And the fact it just sounds like commercial, like kind of wimpy metal. I mean, goddamn, dude, if they were half as good as these guys look, Jesus Christ. I mean, pick one of them. They're all awesome. Any of them can be in any band I start. But you know something, man? This record's still kind of crap, you know? I think this guy knew. He was like, dude, we were supposed to be a metal band, and like by the time we fucking got to our record, which we pressed ourselves, by the way, it's a fucking private press. It's not like they got a label deal out of it. You're like, yeah, I think we were trying too hard. You know, I think maybe spelling "Are you hot tonight" like that was kind of a bad idea. You know. And yeah, I know Blue Oyster Cult did that too, but it wasn't cool when they did it either. And I love Blue Oyster Cult. All right, so we're gonna listen a minute to the front record because I hyped it. Yeah, check out this label, man. Look at that. It's so like, it looks really Soviet, doesn't it? So good. All right, so this is gonna be front. And you can decide if you agree with me or not about the whole, like, death metal vibe. Or the thrash metal vibe with the death metal, like, moves. You know what I mean? It's like they set out to make a death metal record, and they made a thrash metal record. Or maybe I'm just full of baloney. These labels are actually kind of cool. I should show that real quick. They're definitely custom. I mean, it looks like a private press, too. I don't know. I'm going to try to sound out all the Russian on this one. I wonder where these guys are from. I feel like most of the metal bands are from Moscow. I'd expect there to be more from St. Petersburg or Leningrad, as the case may have been at the time, but it seems like Moscow turns out more. Yeah, it's funny. It says something thrash over here. Like in English, too. This isn't like a jape. It's fucking sound effects, man. Alright, so what else do I have to show while we're listening to this for a minute? Yeah, I pulled this one out. It's funny, I almost didn't show this one because I didn't know what to say about it. Sometimes this band really hits the spot for me. And sometimes they just don't. It didn't kind of scratch the itch this time, but like next time I pull this out, I'm gonna love it. You know, I kind of go back and forth a lot. With this band in general, but this record in specific, this is probably my favorite Quartz record too, by the way. No, that's not true. My favorite record by Quartz is the Satan Serenade 12-inch, even though I kind of wish it were just one-sided because the medley on side 2 is awful. But that's also really short. It's because it's only 2 songs, right? This is my favorite of their albums. Yeah, but you know, 1980, it's early, but you know, you can really hear that this was a band jumping on a trend. There are a few bands like that. See, it feels really thrash, but that singer's almost like going to death territory, you know? Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe that's more like a harsh thrash vocal, you know? He's not really growling very much, but he's lowering his voice, you know? Anyway, these guys, man, you can just hear that they were boomers, you know? And sort of getting to it late. I mean, Manowar had some of that shit going on too, so that's not like all bad, but it's like, these guys weren't Metallica's age. They were 10 years older than Metallica, you know, in 1980. So, well, I guess if they were 10 years older in 1980, they'd probably still be 10 years older in 1983. Unless they were dead, which I have no reason to believe they were. Yeah, anyway, it's funny because it sounds like a little bit misplaced. Sort of like Power Supply by Budgie, I suppose, in a way. Although, I almost feel like Budgie sounds a little bit less lost than Quartz did on this, on their really good Wabam record. Now, Night Flight is another question. I hated that fucking record. And Deliver Us from Evil, I don't care if Martin Popoff's record says that record sucks. That fucking record is horrible. But I guess the fucking guy gives a 10 to Abominog. Why would you be surprised if he gave a 10 to Deliver Us from Evil? Because they both fucking suck. I say this with love if Martin Popoff is watching. Stand-up guy as far as I know. Anyway, we're listening to Front. Oh, here, check this out. I'm going to show how with it I am. You come to the Metal Theologian channel for relevance. I got the new Red Fang record. And I really like this, man. I've heard there were some complaints about the production, but I think it sounds just fucking fine, man. You know, there it is without the sticker on it. I kind of like it when they put the hype sticker on one of these plastic outers that you can keep, you know? Anyway, it's like solid, like, you know, kind of stoner doom shit that, you know, I listen to a ton of these days, but don't really know a fuckload about. It's on relapse, so it's a little more on the metal side, but not as much as a lot of them are. You know what I mean? This kind of has more of like a pure sort of stoner sound. I don't know where the line is between stoner and desert rock. I'm not gonna fucking pretend to know. But let's put it this way. I have a lot of metal. I listen to a lot of metal, and I kind of know a lot about metal. You know, if I'm, put the modesty aside for a second. Generally speaking, if I'm looking for something stoner, I don't need to go to relapse for it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those bands, I'm not looking for a metal vibe from. You know what I mean? So, Red Fang falls on the right side of that for me. Other than that, they sound pretty metal. If that makes sense. Except if you listen to this kind of stuff, it probably totally makes sense. Alright, well I've been going on for long enough. I'll show one last one here just because it's here. That's what the band people talk about. Another one I pull out sometimes and think is crap. This time I pulled it out and really enjoyed it. Yeah, this is Vardis. First album's a live album, they get points for that. And yeah, I found this in the wild in San Francisco too, with this big fucking ruthless cutout slice in it. Which is in the poster too. Here, I'll show this because it kind of sucks. Although if y'all collect, you probably have shit like this too. Yeah, look at this. This fucking poster. It has these fucking cuts in it. It sucks. It's just the cover thing. Anyway, it's more funny to me than anything else. But if I was been a teenager, I would have been bummed. Alright, that's it. So on that note, thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time.